Good evening and welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to tonight's Parent Connection workshop on high school academy programs. I am Dr. Admin Alexander, the Director of Family and Community Engagement, and tonight I will be the facilitator of this session. It is my pleasure to welcome you this evening to learn about 4 high school academy programs. First, I would like to thank all of you who submitted questions for tonight's session, and I would also like to say a special thank you to our panelists. So with that being said, let's introduce our panelists tonight. From the Global Studies and World Languages Academy at Tallwood High School, Ms. Jessica Windish. From the Health Sciences Academy at Bayside High School, Ms. Terry Mahia.
Good evening.
Good evening. From the Legal Studies Academy at First Colonial High School, Ms. Angelique Phillips. And from the Math and Science Academy at Ocean Lakes High School, Mr. Mike King.
Good evening.
Thank you, everybody, again for just joining us tonight and being part of this. Your expertise is going to be greatly appreciated. So before we get into specific questions, I wanted to begin and have Ms. Windish, if you could, really just explain to everyone what is an academy program and what is the purpose of an academy program.
Thank you, Dr. Alexander, for our introductions, and I'm happy to answer that question. So we're very fortunate here in Virginia Beach City Public Schools to have these opportunities to have academies and advanced academic programs. They are an expansion of your traditional curricular options that schools would have. And in Virginia Beach, we recognize that no educational program is a one-size-fits-all. And we want to make sure that students have additional choices to make in their educational path. So students in their middle school years would then have an opportunity to apply to be a part of these programs. The purpose is, in fact, to motivate and encourage students to have a high school experience that connects them to an area of study that they have great interests. So by the 8th grade, oftentimes students are developing those thoughts and those interests, and they have an opportunity to visit all of our programs, see which they would like to apply for, complete those applications during their 8th grade year, which will roll out next week, and attend some additional informational opportunities so they can decide which high school academy program is best suited for their interests.
Thank you. I know our families really appreciate that information because we want to make sure that they understand, exactly what an academy is. So for the next part, I know you're all very passionate about your programs and can speak probably for hours about your programs, but I'm going to ask each of you to give about 2 minutes or so, just highlighting, what your program is and a little bit of a summary of your program. Mr. King, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm Mr. King from the Math and Science Academy at Ocean Lakes High School. Thank you, Dr. Alexander and Virginia Beach Schools Technology Department for hosting this tonight. So a little bit about the Math and Science Academy. One thing that really stands out to us is that students who meet the graduation requirements for our academy program, they will have exceeded the state mandated requirements for the advanced diploma. And they received the advanced diploma as well as received the mathematics and academy seal and the governor's seal on their diploma. So that's one standout. Another standout that we do at our academy is that we follow the autonomous learner model. So what you all want to learn and pursue and research is all about the student. It's your ideas. There are some set required classes that you take, but it is all about you and what you want to follow through with for your senior project. And students who research and independent exploration opportunities, they're embedded in our courses through grades 9 through 11. And they range in various topics what the student gets to pick on, hopefully building up to that senior project. And a senior project is an autonomous experience that is supported by our faculty advisor. It's not prescribed strand defined by our program. It involves either a career exploration or a capstone project or an engineering or scientific research project that can be shared at a competition. And we've also had people share their research in a scientific journal and nationally known youth science journals as well. So through our whole experience, it's all about the hands-on experience, and it's all about trying to engage that student in science or math technology, engineering, whatever they want to pursue in those fields, and we guide them down that path. Like I said, there are some required classes, but the research and what they want to research in the topics are autonomous to each child.
Thank you, Mr. King. Appreciate that. Ms. Mejia, for the Health Sciences and Academy, can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So the Health Sciences Academy is a unique program where we are thematic, completely focused on the medical sciences. So everything you take will have a component of medical sciences to it. We do offer specific medical science courses each year that the student would be required to take. So health occupations, human anatomy, physiology, and pathophysiology. We also have numerous electives that students can take in the medical sciences. We'll discuss that later. But they also immerse medical science through their core classes. So in their honors English class, they will talk about characters in a study and what medical ailments they may have, that sort of thing. We have students who are very passionate about helping others. It makes for a great group to work with, a lot of fun. They're motivated and energized, which gives us a lot of energy. And really the best thing about it is that we are a program that you can come and learn your earn your high school diploma in a subject that you're interested in. So how awesome is it to be able to learn and earn your diploma having fun at the same time? Like math and science, we are hands-on. Everything in the medical field is hands-on. So most of our projects are hands-on and involved. So yes, come have a great time. Thank you.
Thank you. I love the learn and earn. I like that. Catchy phrase. Ms. Windisch, the Global Studies and World Languages Academy.
Thank you, Dr. Alexander. So at Tallwood, at the Global Studies and World Languages Academy, we say that our students are on a journey to global citizenship. And although this is a journey we're all actually on, this is a journey that we want to make sure our students have the right tools to be successful at their final destination for us, which is young adulthood and sending them off to higher education or their career opportunities. So along this journey at the GSWLA, students are going to develop multilingual communication skills. They're going to expand their worldview, and they're going to contribute to both our local community and our global community. So while they're attending, they're going to take advanced courses in both English and social studies classes, but they'll further promote their investigation of the world through their seminar courses. And these are 4 courses that they'll take from freshman to senior year, resulting in their senior project. And these classes provide an opportunity for research and content application. They will also develop their multilingual skills by taking 2 world languages. So they'll take one for 4 years and they'll take another for 2 years. Now that's a minimum. Generally, our students are averaging about 8 to 10 credits by the time they graduate. Some have gone as far as 13 and 14 by the time they've graduated. So sometimes they take level 1 of everything we offer, which are 8 individual languages, and I'll share that a little bit later. Over their 4 years, students are also required to engage in community service and participate in cultural events. Thankfully, we have numerous community partners that help us provide very unique opportunities to our students. We have 7 international partner schools in 7 countries. We partner with an organization called CIEE, and we are one of 93 global navigator schools in the United States. And we partner with numerous student travel organizations and government programs like the State Department's program for national youth language development. And it gives students an opportunity to travel internationally and meet these requirements all at the same time. They are also developing and expanding their international network of contacts. So through these diverse school experiences in our community and abroad, and of course at Tallwood itself, because we bring numerous partners here to school, our students are prepared to be the global citizens that we need them to be to resolve the challenges that we have facing us in the 21st century.
Thank you. That global citizenship is definitely important to, just creating a well-rounded student. So thank you for that. And last but certainly not least, Ms. Phillips, the Legal Studies Academy.
Good evening. So basically, we're looking for students who are interested in law or exploring the law or law-related field. We're also looking for students who are inquisitive and want to be challenged and ultimately want to use their voice to advocate for themselves or for others. Our students are enrolled in a dedicated law class each year that they're here. We start in 9th grade with Introduction to Law, moving on to 10th grade Criminal Justice. Their junior year, they do a lot with legal oratory and debate and ethics and law, and ultimately leading to their senior year where we do have a capstone research project. We also work to embed law-themed units within their English, science, and social studies classes, similar to some of the other panelists. And each of our students take part in some additional requirements. They all have to participate in master classes where they're learning from experts in the field. One of the things that we find that we're very fortunate is that we have a very robust alumni association who are involved in a lot of really cool careers, who want to come back and talk to our students about how they got to where they are today. We also have our students complete a 50-hour legal internship, and our interns are often competing right alongside law school students, as well as grad students. We place them in areas like the Sheriff's Department, obviously with police and law offices, but also in fields of administration of justice, like the FBI and various other opportunities. In addition, our students do complete 200 hours of community service by the time they graduate. And a lot of what we do is trying to get our students outside of the classroom. We feel passionate about making sure that we're providing hands-on experiences. So we start right when students get here in 9th grade, taking them into court, taking them to the police precincts to see what it's like working behind the scenes of a lot of the careers and fields of study that we hope that they will journey into once they leave us.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips, for that information as well. And thank you for everyone to giving a summary of your programs. You know, from just listening, any student that graduates from these programs are just going to be so ready and prepared for, you know, college or whatever path they choose to take. So thank you all. So let's jump into some questions here that people have submitted. So my first question, Mr. King, is going to come to you, and it's just really about how many students can be accepted into each academy?
Sure. Well, a couple of things on that would be that our applications do go live on November 12th online, and they do close and need to be submitted by January 8th. And then we go through the selection process or any other requirements that might be required of each individual academy. But we normally accept in the range of 125 students per academy for every school year. So each grade level has roughly 125 students in it.
Thank you. And Ms. Phillips, I'm going to jump to you on this one. I saw your lights go out. I'm making sure you're okay now. But this question came about, and it said, you know, my daughter is interested in taking classes at TCC. If she is not in an academy, will she still be able to take classes at TCC during high school? So kind of doing dual.
So I think that's the beauty of our division, is that every high school has dual enrollment opportunities. And while I kind of am on that, I will say, and I say this a lot to parents, is no matter where these students end up going to high school, they're going to be successful. I encourage students all the time, follow your passion. If it's in an academy, if it's with an advanced academic program, then great, but they're going to spend the next 4 years in these walls. So you want them to be somewhere that they're happy and that they feel like they're enjoying the learning. So again, I go back to the division has provided these opportunities such as dual enrollment for all high school students. My suggestion would be to reach out to the student's guidance counselor to see how you take part in those opportunities, what the application process is, what courses you might need to take as a prerequisite to make sure that you're ready and able when the time comes for that opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Mr. King, I'm going to come back to you for this question as well. So jumping right back to you. Is there an academy program that's just focused on science?
Okay. Well, yes, but we would encourage you to check out the Math and Science Academy, of course. That's the coordinator I am, and not trying to be biased. We do focus on science in some ways. However, it depends on your strand of science. Health Sciences Academy is another good one at Bayside. as well as the environmental studies program over at the Brock Center for our juniors and seniors, as well as the STEM Academy. So it depends on what branch of science you're looking for and how you're going to pursue science through high school and what your career path wants to be, or what you want your career path to be. So there's many options out there within Virginia Beach. You have the Math and Science Academy that, from me being there, it's autonomous. You get to pick what science you're involved in. Health sciences, if you want to focus on that, definitely Bayside. And then the environmental studies program, environmental sciences over at the Brock Center. STEM with taking things apart in that robotics type, cybersecurity and things like that would definitely be at Lansdowne. And also once in the IB program, if you look at the IB, the diploma program, once they're in grade 11, students can begin to focus on a career path and they can focus on science at that point. And also at Green Run Collegiate, students can focus on their their studies in science through the IB Core Certificate Program. And this is a pathway that allows students to select their IB classes based on the subjects of their interest. So depends on what field of science you want to go. We have it in Virginia Beach.
Thank you. And for all of you, it's just common themes of, and Ms. Phillips, you had said it earlier, it's just finding your passion and then, kind of going in the direction that you want to, which is exciting, for students, a great opportunity for them to just dive into what you believe in. It's great. Thank you, Mr. King, for that information. Ms. Mejia, I'm going to come to you for this next question. And it really centers around a student wrote in and they said, I'm interested in writing poems, things along those lines. Is there a program that's available for them to do so?
There's not a specific program focused just on poetry, but in all of the high schools in Virginia Beach, you are going to have courses available to you through your English courses where you are going to be able to focus on poetry and certainly have those units. Also looking at the IB program as well, when you get into your 11th and 12th grade year, when you look at your strands, you can go with a literature themed strand. So there are opportunities wherever you choose to go that you can get involved in poetry.
That's awesome.
If you don't mind, if I also add, most high schools
Please.
participate in Poetry Out Loud through their English departments. I know we've had a national champion at Tallwood. However, they do promote this program at most I think every high school, and it's really quite a spectacular event every year. So I would encourage any student that's interested in poetry to participate in that wherever they end up for high school.
I'm gonna piggyback on that real quick, because something that speaks to me is that, like, our students, I know, we've had senior projects where students have actually written books of poetry or got compilations of creative writing pieces. And then the law component of that is where they actually have studied the law behind publishing, or entities that deal with different rules and regulations of print or copyright laws. So a lot of times, what students might be passionate about fit within our programs, you just don't quite see that direct link. So those would be questions to kind of reach out and ask, like, students of the program, how may I explore this passion of mine that doesn't necessarily have a specific home in an academy, but this is something I want to continue to explore as I move forward in high school.
And that's amazing. You guys are just amazing, because it just sounds like there's ways to intertwine, again, their passions into whatever, whatever academy that they want, which is amazing concept. Ms. Windisch, I'm going to come back to you for this particular question. And it's really a parent submitted and said, if my child is accepted into academy for 9th grade, does he have to reapply again each year?
That's a great question. And the answer is a really quick no, because once a student is accepted into our program, they are a student that we want to experience all the years that we have to offer. And our programs are designed for a 4-year experience. So there's not a need to apply. There is a need to maintain your status, to fulfill your obligations if your school has community service. For us, we have community service and cultural event requirements. We have, of course, GPA. We want to keep the GPA strong. We want to make sure our students are supported so that they can achieve those goals. But once the application is complete, once the acceptance letter is given, and once a student completes their letter of intent, they are officially a student in that program, and they remain in that program until graduation. That being said, some people might be wondering if you can join beyond 8th grade, because we do have students that move into our community during 9th grade and they feel like, oh no, I've missed the boat. But we do often have opportunities for students to apply during 9th grade, sometimes 10th grade. It often depends on what classes they've previously taken and if they're able to meet the requirements of an academy program. But also, once they apply and are admitted to the program, they would not have to reapply again. There are instances where students have been accepted to programs and then they have declined because they've decided to go to another program, and that would require them to reapply the following school year if they decided to change their minds. But once you've applied, you've accepted your acceptance with your letter of intent, and we register you, you are a student in that program for your entire high school experience. But that's a great question. I'm sure it's a concern that it's a lot of work to apply, so I would not want anyone to have to do that multiple times.
Thank you. The next question comes in from a highly motivated student, which was not me when I was this age. But the question is, can we take summer classes or 8th grade summer classes our 8th grade year to get extra high school credits and get some of our classes done for high school before we get there? Ms. Phillips, I'm going to have you answer that particular question.
So most of the programs for academies and advanced academic programs will actually encourage you to take online health and PE in the summer, especially if you're trying to fit other things like band or ROTC into your curriculum. Some of the programs I know, like IB, also encourage you to take econ and personal finance. Again, trying to open up as much space as possible to fit in the requirements for the 4 years. But I do know, I know Mr. King, I believe they don't allow you to take a science or a math in the summer. So my suggestion would be once you apply and you're accepted, or even before you're accepted, if you want to reach out, oh, look, there's my light again. If you want to reach out to the coordinators to ask for specific courses that will be accepted as summer transfer credits coming into high school.
Thank you.
That is correct. Just to follow up on that, if I could, Dr. Alexander, that Ms. Phillips is correct. For the Math and Science Academy, once you complete 8th grade and are accepted, we do not accept any math or science summer school classes because we have specific classes unique to our program that we want you to take through that. We can't accept them for credit.
Thank you both. Very motivated students around Virginia Beach schools, tell you. The next question, Ms. Mejia, this is going to be for you. And I thought this is a very good question as well, is, what's the difference from academies and regular standard high schools? And why are academies more beneficial than high schools?
Okay, so this leads right into what I had started off with, that academies, you can't go wrong with any of the programs in Virginia Beach. And when you're in high school, you are working towards your diploma. So academies allow you the opportunity to have that extra enrichment in an area where you're interested in learning more. So we find that our students innately are more interested in learning about medicine. That would be true for global studies, maybe for global citizenship, languages, legal studies, about law, math and science. It doesn't matter, any of them. The other programs from last night, the EBA and your visual performing arts. So you are able to get that education, which you're required by the state, but do it in a fun way to keep you interested and motivated. So.
Thank you. All right. So we're going to jump to some potentially specific questions to some academies, but they might have some crossover. So please jump in and add any additions if you see necessary. Mr. King, I'm going to start with you. There are a few questions that came in specific for the Math and Science Academy. One of the questions was, what is the selection criteria for the program of for the Math and Science Academy, and what types of selection tests will be administered?
Okay, sure. So thank you. The selection criteria, it's a various number of things. It's not just one thing. We do have an entrance exam, and a lot of people think that the entrance exam is the end all to be all. If I don't do well on that, then I'm not going to get in. That's not true. We do follow a number of factors. We look at teacher recommendations. We look at current GPA, what classes you're taking in middle school. We look at your SOL scores and what grades you've had through middle school, and what classes you've taken. One prerequisite for our program for the Math and Science Academy is to have passed Algebra 1 prior to leaving middle school. So they have to have Algebra 1 coming to our program. And then, of course, we do look at the entrance exam scores as a component of our rubric that we score by with our selection committee. So I think the question is what type of entrance exam or selection tests are given by us? We do give a math and science entrance exam. It is just that. It is the foundations of algebra. It is Algebra 1 based. And then the science portion is experimental design and being able to read scientific articles and interpret graphs and data to be able to tell us what the scientist was doing through that. Some of it is multiple choice, some of it is free response, but we want to see how students think. That's the number one thing. Right or wrong, we want to see that you're putting in the thought process, that you're thinking through and what your thought process is and how we can move forward with that of how you're thinking and get you on the right track to the correct answer. But the number one question is are you thinking about how to get to an answer? And for this year, I said it before, I'll say it again, November 12th, applications go live for all the academies. And then January 8th is the due date. So I would recommend not procrastinating because it does require some teacher recommendations to be had. Now, students, parents, if you're out there, whichever one we're talking to, maybe both, I do make the recommendation for the professional courtesy of the student of talking to the teachers, letting them know that they might be getting an email to complete a recommendation on your child or on behalf of for them. And then our entrance exam is going to be held on February 10th, 11th, 16th, and 17th. And it's only one day. You only have to come one day. It's not a 4-day test. You only have to come one day. And you'll sign up for that through a Sign Up Genius through the application process. At the end, once you complete the application, it'll say, thank you for completing. Now to complete the whole application, click here to sign up for a testing date at Ocean Lakes High School. And it will be face-to-face as of now. We know how things could change with COVID, but as of now, it will be face-to-face with the CDC guidelines in place for social distancing.
Thank you, Mr. King. Does anybody else have want to add on to their application process? Or I know it sounded pretty standard, but.
So I guess I'll just speak for Ms. Mejia and Ms. Windish, because the three of us have a very similar application process. One of the things I think is really cool that we did this year is we changed our essay because we really want to kind of get to know the students a little bit more. We recognize that a lot of the application is very standard. It's grades, it's test scores, teacher recommendations. So we're asking them to actually do instead of an essay, more of a student voice piece, if you will, and it gives them the opportunity to share a little bit about their personality. We obviously know that they're interested in our programs. We know that, they've taken this course or that course, but we're hoping that by giving them an opportunity to choose from a couple of different prompts, maybe a little bit more of their personality might jump off the page. And so I encourage students when they're looking at writing that, just don't overthink the room. We're not looking for a perfect, well thought out 5-paragraph essay that is documented with all these parenthetical citations. We just want to know who you are, why you want to be a part of what we have, and what you're hoping to gain, and get a little bit more of their voice in the application process.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I think it might be worth noting for those in the audience that although there are some requirements like for math and science, in order for them to get to those higher level math and science classes, they do need to come in with algebra. And although it's great if a student comes to the Global Studies and World Languages Academy with a world language credit or 2 under their belt from middle school, you can show up to our program, and I'm pretty confident the LSA and the HSA as well, with not a single high school credit. You will still have plenty of room to earn that advanced studies diploma and to meet all of the requirements of the academy program and have choice. Summer school does help, as we discussed before, provide windows to your schedule to have choice in elective classes, or even just to have that study block in there to give you an opportunity to work on an AP class that you might be taking in the 9th grade. But you do not have to have any of those high school credit classes under your belt in order to apply. So I don't want any students to feel like because they didn't start that in middle school that they shouldn't be applying for an academy. And that's not the case. We're looking for students that are passionate about the subjects that we focus on in our programs. And we want to give them an opportunity to earn their high school diploma in an area where they're going to be motivated and excited to learn. Thank you.
No, that's great. That's great clarification, because I know a lot of there's a lot of misinformation out there. So thank you all for clarifying that information. So I'm going to come to this question for each of you, and it's really, a student has gotten accepted to the academy and they're excited, and they just want to know, what advice would you give to them? So Miss Mejia, I'm going to start with you.
So my first piece of advice would be to just keep that excitement, come in ready to go. We're excited. We're just as excited for you as you are to be accepted into the program, and bring your genuine self, because that's what we want to see. And that's what we find is when you're most successful is when you are your genuine self. It does take some work, because in a lot of our programs, you're juggling a class or two extra. So there is some of that, but know that we're here to help you. High school is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and we want you to enjoy the ride and have a great time. And we will all work together as a family and get you through. So just being yourself is most important. Getting involved is even better, because then you have activities to build your family even larger. So that's the biggest piece.
Thank you. Great advice. Mr. King, what advice would you give?
Making sure I was unmuted. I'd come in ready to work. I like what Ms. Mejia said of be yourself. We want you to be you, but come in ready to work. You applied to the specific academy and you were accepted for a reason. And that reason, one of them is that you're passionate about whatever it is that you want to go into. For the Math and Science Academy, it's some passion with math and science, and come in with that passion. Come in with an open mind, willing to learn new things. Coming from middle school to high school, whether it's in an academy or in a comprehensive high school, it is a transition. It's a transition in life. And coming from middle school to an academy program is a bigger transition. So there are going to be some changes, there are going to be some challenges, but with that open mind, we can make it through that. So having that open mind, being willing to learn, and knowing that there are going to be some challenges. And one of the major challenges that we see at the academy is the homework. A lot of students come to us and say, I didn't have this much homework when I was in middle school. Well, we're in a rigorous and advanced academic program now, so there is going to be a little bit more homework, a little bit more rigor to the classes, but have that open mind. Know our teachers are there to help. Being able to advocate for yourself and talk with your teachers. We're all here to help you. We didn't get an education to be mean to kids. We got an education to help kids and to help them succeed. And I think that goes for all the other academy coordinators here too. And the teachers, all of them in Virginia Beach. Just be you, have that open mind, be willing to learn, and making a mistake is not a bad thing. Making a mistake actually means that you're learning. So if you make a mistake, get back up, let's keep moving forward, because if you've made a mistake, it's time to learn, and we can do that, and we're going to help you do that to be successful.
Thank you, Mr. King. Great advice there. Great advice. Ms. Phillips, what about you? What advice would you give?
So my first piece of advice will always be the same thing that I tell every single student. Will probably be my last piece of advice as they graduate. It is always to run your own race. I really encourage my students to put blinders on and run their own race. Ultimately, high school is tough. They're going to hear a lot from peers. They're going to hear a lot from, parents or guardians or other entities. And it's really difficult. And so if they just really settle down and focus on what is important to them, their passion, they're working hard. Like Mr. King said, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid, to take a risk. step outside of that box, because that's where the greatness is going to happen. That's where they're going to figure out who they are and what they want to do down the road. And they're not going to be able to do that if they're too, so worried or focused on what everybody else is doing or what everybody else is taking. And that really goes to when they start applying to academy programs. Don't apply somewhere just because all of your friends are applying somewhere. If you have no interest in that area, you're going to spend the next 4 years maybe with some great friends, but really stuck learning things that don't motivate you or don't, excite you. So really focus on what is true to yourself and what you want to do for the next 4 years. And that would be my advice.
Awesome. And Ms. Windisch, your advice for your program?
Yes, I'm feeling so many cliches in my head, like eat the cake, take the leap, just give it a try. The reality is ninth graders often don't know what they want to do. They don't know where they want to be when they're 25. But if they don't try something they think they have an interest in, they're not going to know whether they liked it or didn't like it. And we all know as adults that sometimes we learn what we don't want to do by doing something. And sometimes we learn what we do want to know or do want to do because we experienced something we never thought that we would. So my advice is give it a try, take the leap, eat the cake, speak the language. And that's really the key to our program is language and communication. So it is very scary sometimes for kids to learn a new language and to just cross that bridge of embarrassment of speaking a new language in front of other people, but we're all doing it here. And so I would encourage you to do what Ms. Phillips said, put the blinders on. Don't worry about what anyone else thinks. You follow the path that is interesting to you, give it a try, take the leap into that area of study that you have an interest in, that you have a passion in, and see if it's really where you want to go. And you will enjoy the process because you do have 4 years here. You don't want to surround yourself with a topic or a group of people that you're not feeling comfortable with. So give it a try. Think very hard when applying. Look at all of our information nights. Come to all of our opportunities to do Q&As and to meet with people digitally or hopefully face-to-face at some point, so you can get a feel for the programs and you can find that place that's going to make you feel comfortable and want to take the leap and learn something new about yourself even, because that's what high school is about, is figuring out who you are and where you want to go.
Thank you. Someone once told me they're cliches because they're true. So I like all your cliches. So from that, the advice to now your individual programs, and again, I'm going to come to each of you. What are some of the benefits of your specific programs? Mr. King, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, so here, one of our benefits is that we follow the autonomous learner model to where you can be you. We have some required courses that I've said before, but the topic of science or the topic of math that you want to pick and that you want to run with and that you want to learn more about is your decision. Health Sciences Academy is a great academy, and I'm just using that example, nothing against them. I send people there all the time because they want to focus in medicine, and that's where they need to be. Is they want to focus in medicine, they want to focus in a health career, and that's where they need to be. But if they're not sure where they want to be yet in a health career, they can come to us and dabble a little bit in every little bit of topic of health sciences and medicine, or even go outside of that into the business aspect of a hospital, or the business aspect of owning your own practice. And so there's a little bit of everything for everybody at the Math and Science Academy. We have senior projects and we have kids coming in doing everything from shark research to doing research with sea turtles, the loggerhead sea turtle on the Outer Banks, all the way to cardiologists, to kids working, doing internships. Well, when we could do internships before COVID, doing internships in the NICU at the hospital. We had them working with architects. We had them working with landscapers. We've had some working with, I believe it was the Philadelphia Phillies, the baseball team, looking at stats of pitchers and doing different stats that way. So here at the Math and Science Academy, it doesn't have to be a scripted program. You get to choose your topic, and we're going to guide you and throw out questions to you. You're going to ask a question. We're going to answer that question with the question of how can it be done? Of what do we need to do next? How do you think we should move forward? What do you need to do? So I think that's one benefit of us is we're going to make you think, we're going to make you dig deeper, and we're going to allow you to explore your interest and your passions. And if you find out that you don't like something in that passion, you can change. And we're going to help you follow that next passion of whatever it may be. You know, you might think that, oh, I want to do forensic science and do something with forensic studies and not like that and switch totally and go to an environmental studies program or look at, you know, oceanography or marine biology. And you can do that with us and we help you. We hope that you figure out a little bit closer of what you want to do before you get to your 4-year institution at college and you're paying for that. And then you're into your 3rd year as a junior and be like, oh, I don't like this anymore. I think I'm going to take 3 more years in college. That won't make mom and dad happy, kids. But I'm sure they'll support you. So that's what we are. We hope to get the ideas out there and let people see what's out there and what they can do within the fields of math and science and let them dabble a little bit in all of it.
Thank you, Mr. King. Such a range. I didn't know the range was so vast, such a range. And I'd be remiss as a diehard Philadelphia Phillies fan. We're going to have to be in contact so I can, at one point in time, get some tickets to the games.
Now, that wasn't my doing. That was all the kids doing. They had the connections. I did not.
So, Ms. Windisch, I'm going to come to you. You spoke a little bit about, you know, just the benefits of being a global citizen. But can you share a little bit more benefits of the Global Studies and World Language Academy?
I can. And interestingly enough, Mr. King shared the wide range that his students have in their abilities to do research and investigate the sciences. And our range is quite wide and diverse as well. And that's something that we really are proud of. And it's something that we feel is the best benefit for our students. As you said, all of our students are all humans are working towards global citizenship, but it's something we really focus on. So there are 2 things that our students walk out the door with that really is a benefit that they can take with them for the rest of their life. And one is the ability to communicate with more people. We teach 8 languages at Tallwood. And if you can speak English, Spanish, and Chinese, you can speak to almost every human on this planet. And we offer all of those, obviously English, but we have a large number of students taking Spanish and also Chinese. It allows students to expand their network, whether it's domestic or international, of contacts. It allows them to communicate and understand other humans. And we all know that if we understand other humans and their perspectives, then we can be so much more productive on this planet. With that, our students are able to choose any area in which to conduct their research for their senior project. And over the years, we did some investigating and we've identified 9 pathways that our students' research tends to fall into. And I'll just list them very quickly. One is diplomacy and politics, which everyone thinks is pretty much the only thing that our students might be interested in. But some are interested in linguistics, STEM. We've had many students research STEM opportunities, especially those interested in the environment and pollution. Activism, whether it's social activism or environmental activism, arts and music. We've had many senior projects that have been performances. We've had students that have been at the Governor's School for the Arts and at our program, and they create quite spectacular performances. Business is another category. Our students can take an international business elective class while they're here. Education, we have numerous students that participate in in Virginia Teachers for Tomorrow, which is virtual probably now. And history and culture is another category, and media and communications. We actually have several journalists out there among our alumni that are expanding upon their language opportunities that they started here, and they're doing investigative research in foreign countries and being quite productive global citizens. So the end game is probably the best benefit, that they can communicate with numerous people and that they can follow their passion in any one of those pathways. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mejia, Health and Sciences Academy, what are some benefits there?
So we do have a wide array of course offerings to meet students' interests, no matter what they're interested in, from microbiology to forensic medicine, medicinal chemistry, comparative anatomy for students interested in veterinary programs. We have a medical research writing class. We have sports injury, hereditary medicine. We even have a medical art class for students who are interested in art type programs. Along with that, we have a passionate faculty with a wide variety of medical backgrounds, PhD in pathology. We have a teacher who has co-authored a paper with a Nobel laureate. We've had them do research with the Scripps Research Institute with cancer, medical technologists for oncology, hematology, toxicology, microbiology, emergency medical technician, clinical outreach trainers with CHKD, American Heart Association instructors, Stop the Bleed instructors. So the list goes on. It's quite impressive faculty. We have been here 19 years together building this program. And part of our success has been our community partners. We have a large number of community partners in the medical field, now adding alumni to that database as well, who have helped our students to get opportunities, get experiences, and have that field experience outside the classroom. So that has been wonderful. We also have an agreement with St. George's University for medical and veterinary programs for our students to have conditional admissions when they graduate from us. So to have that in their back pocket is sometimes kind of nice. And then we have an agreement with Centera College of Health Sciences for their RN, the registered nurse program for our students. But the biggest thing is when students leave us, whether they decide to pursue health career when they leave us, they're very knowledgeable about their own health or maybe a family member's health, and they are able to have critical thinking skills and problem solving skills to better prepare them for their next steps in life. They will have 3 years of intensive anatomy, physiology, and pathophysiology by the time they leave us. And so it's a great experience with a lot of opportunities available to them.
Amazing opportunities. And Ms. Phillips.
So I feel like I could echo any one of my colleagues in all of the different things and the wide variety of things that we offer or the benefits to the program as far as, researching and field experiences or hands-on. But what I will tell you is that we really pride ourselves on making sure that our students are prepared for the next level. And that is critical for us. We want to make sure not just that they're getting into colleges, but they're able to pay for colleges. And then once they are there, that they're able to read critically, that they're able to be able to utilize those critical thinking skills and not just take things at face value. I think we can all attest to the importance of that skill right now and being able to build active and engaged citizens who are ready to go out into this world and to make a difference. And so I will tell you that my faculty, I'm very blessed that I have a very dedicated staff who works tirelessly to provide those type of opportunities while those students are here to make sure that they are successful, whether they're in college, whether they're going into the military, whether they go right into the workforce, that they can stand up, that they can deliver a presentation, that they know how to communicate with business professionals, and that they are ready, willing and able basically to meet their next challenge.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. So our time is limited, but I do want to get to two more questions. And one, just from a parent perspective, as you know, the students want to apply, and I'm sure many parents are encouraging them to apply. The student gets into the program, but we know parents play a major role in the success of students. So what should parents expect as their children get accepted into your programs? Ms. Windisch, I'm going to start with you.
All right, thank you. So I would say the number one thing that they're going to expect from our program is communication. They're going to have a partner in their students' education that they're going to communicate with regularly. Myself, our faculty, every one of our GSWA teachers, and our Tallwood teachers are passionate about our students finding success. And we know that the key to that is communicating with parents. Whether we're communicating about the daily grind of turning in homework assignments, or whether that communication is about opportunities that students have to engage in community activities. They're going to have direct contact with me and with our staff so that they feel like they have this team to help their children make their way through these 4 years. Because another cliche, it takes a village to raise a child. It does take all of our efforts to make sure that we're all informed and we all have the ability to support the kids in the things that they're learning, either support them by scaffolding what they didn't have coming in, or to support them once we know what direction that they want to go in. Teachers oftentimes will hear about opportunities and they'll know exactly what students best for that opportunity because they've gotten to know the students and they've gotten to know the parents so well. I really feel like their parents can expect to be a part of a much larger family than they currently have in an academy program, where we are all sharing information and we're sharing the responsibility of getting these kids to adulthood, which is what high school is all about.
Thank you. Again, village to raise a child, cliche, but it's true. It's so true. Ms. Phillips, what about for you that entered in legal studies? What should parents expect?
I think that, like Ms. Windisch said, it's a partnership. I think the beauty of all of our programs is that we do operate, I guess, without lights, but all right, there we go. We operate like all of us, we're schools within a school. And so that small school feel and being able to know your students, being able to have, like, I have a dedicated guidance counselor and the two of us work together. We know every single one of our students. We know exactly where they need to be. We know what challenges that are good for them, where we may need to pull back, what supports we need to be able to encourage. Ms. Windisch said, teachers are often saying, oh, I know X, Y, and Z student would be perfect for this opportunity. So that small school feel is what I think sets a lot of the academy or advanced academic programs apart. And I think parents should expect that. And I will say it occurs at most of our comprehensive high schools as well. Relationships. We hear that a lot is, we need to know our students. We need to love our students. We need to make sure that we're doing everything possible. So I would say they're going to expect that from us here at the Legal Studies Academy, but anywhere that they go for high school.
That's awesome. Thank you. Ms. Mejia, Health and Sciences Academy, anything just to add on to what parents should expect?
I would echo exactly what they're saying. Our biggest thing is partnerships. We say all the time, we are a family. We treat the students that are here as if they were our own children. We have the same expectations for them and the same love for them. And we all work together to get them through their high school years in a fun, caring way, and get them the education that they so need and so desire. So yes, I agree. And having that school within a school feel is awesome, because they have room to kind of spread their wings a bit and explore things, but still kind of protected a bit, with us all helping them through as a partner.
Great. And Mr. King.
Great. Well, thank you. Well, coming in on the coattails of my wonderful colleagues, they've said just about it all, but I will just reiterate that we're all on the same team. We're on team student, or insert student name here. We're all on the same team. We want to be on the same team. We want to work with you as the parent. We want to work with your student to get them to where they want to be. So, to build that and to get to that point, it takes building relationships. It takes communication. If you talk to my seniors now, or even a freshman in college, I can't say a sophomore in college or higher would remember, but one thing that in all our student meetings, they hear me reiterate: communication, communication, communication. I can work with you. We all have bad days. We all have days where we forget our homework or where we forget this deadline, but it takes communication, and honesty. Communicate with us, or, hey, that time frame doesn't work for me. Communicate. And it builds that relationship. It builds that trust. It builds that relationship that we can all work together, because we do have timelines to follow, but we can all work around timelines and make it work. So parents, team student, team Ocean Lakes, team Math Science Academy, or whatever program you apply for, we're there for you. I can assure you that there's not a single person on this panel that there's not a single teacher in any of our schools, comprehensive or not, that we're against your child. We're willing to be there. We want to help your child. We want to be on the same team and be able to move forward and come up with that plan for your child. I have teachers in my building, and as I'm sure my colleagues do, that have stayed in their building. In our buildings, we dismiss at 2 o'clock. I've seen teachers still working with students at 6 o'clock at night, trying to get it done so they can understand that material to be able to move forward. So it's team student communication and building those relationships so we can continue to move forward and help your child be successful in what they want to do.
Thank you, Mr. King. Couldn't have said it better. It's perfect. Just dedication, as educators, and I think you said it multiple times this time, is just, as educators, we're here for your students. That's why we're here. We care and we want them to be successful, to contribute to society and meet their potential, which you all talked about very early, is finding their passion and go get it, go pursue it. So the last question I have for all of you is probably the easiest question, but just think about one thing that you just enjoy the most about your academy program. And Ms. Mejia, I'm going to start with you.
Without a doubt, the students. No question asked. Love
Awesome.
the students.
Ms. Phillips?
I was going to say the same thing, listening to like all my colleagues talk and just talking about, like, I miss my kids. Like, it is all about the kids. They make this, they're the ones that fill our cup. So by far, they are the best part of what we do.
Awesome. Mr. King?
So just the same thing, the kids, the students being there, but I'm gonna take it one step further, of seeing them be successful, of seeing them try, and when they don't get something right, but then they finally do, and seeing that light bulb go off, and seeing the time and the passion that they put into it in our teachers, and be able to see the success. And they don't even have to say anything, but you can tell when they walk out of there and they really nailed that chemistry test, or that biology test, or that calculus test, or whatever it may be. And then also hearing from our alumni, of what they're doing and where they've gone from the Math and Science Academy, and knowing how well we prepared them for college, and for what they wanted to do. In the science field, we get calls back all the time. Oh, I'm tutoring my college calculus class right now. The teacher asked me a question and I knew it just like that. And nobody else had an idea. Or same thing with chemistry or any science. And I'm sure my colleagues on this panel can say the same thing for their specific classes. But hearing that, getting that phone call back, and knowing that a kid's working towards that PhD, seeing that Facebook post from an alum where he's on a research vessel out in the Northern Atlantic, and seeing the list of species that he's caught over a 2-week period, and it was like 700 and some fish, and he listed all the species in his research, and reading that and knowing that he got that passion by following it through the Math and Science Academy. And that just makes me feel good. And it's awesome to see that in all realms.
Thank you, Mr. King. Everyone is smiling as you were talking. Everyone's reliving their own little moment. It's amazing to see. Ms. Windus?
Yeah, I concur, starting with Ms. Mejia with students and taking it all the way to the students among our alumni. It's the end game that's the best part. And it's seeing students, whether it's the end game of senior year, to see a student that was super shy to speak and give their first presentation their freshman year, to rocking it on the stage and giving the best TED Talk style presentation you have seen, is amazing. And then for them to reach out to you in adulthood. I mean, I've gone to weddings, I've held babies, I've congratulated officers who've graduated from military academies. It's amazing to see the end game, and to see these students that were these cute little freshmen come in and become these amazing men and women that are doing great things in society today, and to come back. I think we're all at the point in our programs where we're really seeing rich communication with our alumni, because some of them are in their 30s now, and they are doing great things, and they're sharing it with us. I actually recently hired, I didn't, Tallwood did, the city hired one of our GSAA graduates as a social studies teacher here. So how awesome was that? And it's just really great to see that end game, and to know that they had a little bit of opportunity to investigate something they loved while they were here, and make something great in adulthood. So thank you for the question.
No, thank you. And that's a perfect way to close it again tonight. Very well said. And thank you, all of you, for just your time tonight. And for our public, thank you. That wraps up our questions for tonight. Again, I would like to thank our panelists, specifically for your time, your expertise, and your thoughtful responses. You can truly tell through all of the academies over the last couple of nights that no matter what students choose, wherever they choose to go, they're in good hands. Parents, you should know that you have a lot of people that care about you. And as Mr. King and everyone has reiterated, we're educators and we do this because we care. And we want your children to be successful. So thank you to the panelists. Thank you for to the VBCPS community for submitting these questions. And again, thank you everyone for taking the time to be here tonight virtually. As a reminder, this session is always recorded and will be up on vbschools.com. And to find out more information about all the Academy programs, please be sure to visit the Academy virtual information nights where links are posted on the VB Schools webpage. On behalf of VBCPS, thank you, be safe, stay positive, and have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.